Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Midwest BDC, Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition podcast. This is starting to be an annual thing with us. We are highlighting our board members. We have some new members who have come on to the Midwest BDC board, and so this is our second class of board members since we became our own official nonprofit and 2024. And I am Marnice Jackson, the executive director. So I wanted to bring them on and talk to you all about what they're doing, so you can get an understanding of their backgrounds and the type of work that they do, and then also get an understanding of how they became a board member, what brought them to want to be in a board position, and just, of course, sharing their story and how they got involved with Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition, because we really appreciate their time and effort. For those who don't know, who haven't served in a board capacity before, this is a volunteer position. So they're taking their time, their effort to, of course, make sure that we're physically responsible, manage me as the new executive director, but then also highlight the causes of the work that the coalition is doing. So Tim Skrotzki, I know he's going to correct it. Did I do it?
That was pretty good. Skrotzki.
Skrotzki. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
More practice. He is currently the associate director at Elevate, and he leads business development and program designs for the Elevate National Strategic Engagement Team. He has a background in environmental management and renewable energy consultant. Till also leads the senior market development lead at Elevate, community energy consultant at Michigan Energy Options, and senior project manager at AKT Peerless. He has diverse experience in clean management with renewable energy projects, including environmental due diligence and supporting community programs. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Geology from University of Iowa and an MBA from Portland State University. So, Tim, welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself, say anything that I missed, but of course, let's get into the conversation.
For sure. Hey, I'm Tim Skrotzki, Associate Director of Partnerships at Elevate. One other thing that I recently graduated from was the Great Lakes Leadership Academy, which is based out of Michigan State University. And that took me around the state of Michigan, talking to leaders in agricultural, energy, and environmental systems. And it was a really amazing experience, really embedding ourselves in different parts of our community and talking about climate change and talking about leadership for the common good. It was a really amazing experience.
Wow, and that's awesome. You're continuing to do your education, build yourself as you do this work, and that's good because we, doing this work, things change, and with us being here in the Midwest, which is the best. But clearly, we're getting hit with a lot of different types of climate impacts across the United States and beyond. And so, with us still focusing on eliminating fossil fuels in buildings in an equitable way, despite what people may try to bring down on us, we're still doing that work. So, how did you get involved with the coalition? Tell us your story.
Well, Elevate is a participant. We have numerous staff who participate in the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition. We have policy experts, we have building code experts, we have construction experts. So we've been an active member as an organization for the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition. And I've participated in many of the webinars and in some cases, the in-person meetings. And spoke at one of the equity summits that Marnice put on, I think, a year or two ago. So I've been an active member, and I find a great deal of value in how this coalition has come together. It's very special because it really bridges different states together. And so you get kind of a different feel for what other states are doing. And it gives you a better idea of how to approach things, maybe new ideas how to approach things so that we can decarbonize our housing.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the Midwest has been the biggest emitter um, of fossil fuel emissions. We're like between like a couple countries where we're the biggest emitter, which means we are emitting the dirty stuff into the air, which is causing climate change and health impacts and dirty stuff that goes into the air and we are breathing it. So the Midwest is the cause of a lot of that. And so when you see these extreme weather patterns, I mean, clearly you're seeing them down south because they're having the same stuff that we are having here in the Midwest as far as snow. Um, the Midwest is pretty much just a contributor to that. Now, if you're indoors because it's cold outside and you do not have efficient appliances, if you're hooked up to gas appliances, of course, that's a fossil fuel. Um, that's the problem. So just FYI for those who are still new and trying to understand it, what building decarbonization is, we're trying to eliminate those things. But Tim, I often wonder, why do people want to serve in board of director positions? I mean, I have a couple board positions that I sit on. Of course, I do it for more networking, understanding how I can bring or be an added value to other organization. Of course, put them on the map. But why did you want to be on the board? I mean, West BDC.
Well, I think that brings us to Elevate, right? Elevate, who I work for, is a nonprofit that makes sure everyone has affordable heat, water, and power in their homes, and they're powered by clean power. And as an organization, we are decarbonizing, affordable housing as well, right? So we align very well. And so one of the reasons why I joined Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition for again is because of the alignment with the same work that Elevate's doing. We're doing all over the Midwest. So is MWBDC. But more importantly, as an associate director at Elevate, which is a larger nonprofit than Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition, I feel like I can bring some value to this organization. I can support Marnice with fundraising and other, logistical items that a larger nonprofit like Elevate may have. And so this is a real opportunity to enhance and lift up the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition with some of the skills that I have and the resources that Elevate has, like such as relationships with funders.
Yeah, I appreciate that because, coming to the board, I mean, it's not unreachable to be on the board. Like people say, I've been a part of organizations and they say the board, you just can't talk to the board members. And we're definitely not like that. We have had members to participate in the board interviews because we're a pretty much close knit coalition. It's kind of like a family atmosphere. But, you know, boards contribute to the development of the organization. And so can you tell me something that people may not know about sitting on the board and how board members contribute to the development of the organization?
Absolutely. I think most people sometimes just look at the board as, kind of fiscal responsibility. Let's just make sure there's enough money in the bank and that Marnice and her team are spending the money wisely, right? So that's the really boring generic version of what people think of a board. But a board also provides a lot of uh, 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 strategic advice on, what's coming ahead, what risks that Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition is facing, what type of subject matters that they can better align themselves with, and so there's all these other kind of strategy items that the board comes into play and really supports Marnice and her team with at the highest level, and then Marnice and her team they implement.
Mhm.
They're the implementers of the plan. They spend the money. They steer the ship.
Exactly. So, in your opinion, what would be the best way for someone to get on a board of directors?
Well, I think it's all about relationships,
Hmm.
right? So you need to build trust.
Hmm.
You need to build trust in your community and with your colleagues that you work with, people
Hmm.
in your industry. And quite frankly, that's how you get asked to be on a board, right? I think it's for me at least, it's an honor for Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition to want me on their board. So I find it, that is something that I think I've built through trust and shown through my abilities in the industry, that it's someone that your team wants on your board, right? So I think it's a
Mhm.
two-way street. One is it helps your organization, but it also helps me professionally. It helps me hone my skills on what a board member needs to do, understanding what a board needs to do, because I'm in the nonprofit industry, and so I'm always learning, and I want to be a leader myself. So this is I bring resources, but then I also learn new skills.
I appreciate that. So it's definitely, not like a top down approach. Yeah, you want to make sure that we're being physically responsible with the funds and making sure that we can keep the doors open and making sure that you're providing strategic direction for us to drive. But it's also reciprocal, right? Because you're getting something out of it, as far as career development, but then also finding ways to support, the executive director and, of course, their team, to move forward. So I'm glad you said that. I would, because some people just think it's this top down hierarchical type of thing, like you do what the board say, and that's just it. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I think I've had the privilege of being at Elevate, right, and seeing how the board of directors works there.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the same leadership at Elevate the entire time I've been there, 10 years. So I like to think that Elevate has a very high functioning board of directors and a high functioning executive team. And it's a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
You rely on each other. The board relies on the executive leadership, and
Mm-hmm.
the executive leadership relies on the board. And when that really happens, you can guide and build a nonprofit to get bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger year after year, because you trust each other, right? And for me, everything that I do, from community engagement to working with our clients and being on this board, is about trust, right? The
Yes,
more we can build trust with each other, the stronger we are.
I totally agree with that. Speaking of that, which building trust, how do you do that, especially with the work that we're involved around energy and climate justice? How do you actually build trust?
Um, I think the first thing to do is to build relationships. So,
Hmm.
in the community engagement arena, you know, it's not just good enough to show up at one community engagement event uh, and meet people and then think that you have the trust. You have to show
Hmm.
up month after month after month. The board of directors is, hey, if you want to be a trusted member of this board of directors, now I'm new, so I mean, we're only in month three, I suppose. But
Hmm.
you need to show up at all these meetings, right? And you need to show that you to the other board of directors that, hey, I'm committed to this, and I'm going to show up every month, and I'm going to show up with my true self. And so it's just like that. So from community engagement, you show up and you show up every single month. The community is going to support you and trust you, and then the same with the board of directors, right? And in this case with the board of directors also, trying to bring value, right? And so if you can show up, build that trust, and then when asked to do something, you try to do it well. That's where when you bring in something of value, you bring in some funding, or you help guide a strategic process, feels good, right? Other people
Hmm.
like it too.
Well, I definitely hope you be on the strategic planning committee. Ugh, it sounds like it's gonna be. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to do it, like, actually, but I feel like it's gonna be a long, drawn out process because I have been a part of many, but not our own. So I'm excited about that. So what do you, switching gears from that? Like, what do you wish people knew about energy and climate justice?
um I think energy and climate justice, it starts with trying to identify what people need,
Mhm.
right? So that's the first thing we do at Elevate as a nonprofit is we listen to the community and we try to come up with solutions that are based in what people are asking for. A lot of our work is focused on home repair programs and how we can make them easier to access, how we can
Mhm.
braid funding together, right? There's so many different funding mechanisms. And so, a lot of this stuff is about like, how can we make these things that people are relying on, how can we make them better and easier to access, right? For me, it's all about ease of implementing these things for decarbonization. And
Mhm.
then I always, and this is just my personal thing. I, when I run a program, when I talk to folks, I try to make sure that they are not doing something that I wouldn't want to do, right?
Mm.
So, so giving folks advice that I would want to support myself as well. I think that's really important, and that's just being transparent and true, and people can feel that when you're able to, put that into a program where you're really showing your true self and you know giving good advice.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. Even though sometimes you have to do the work that nobody else wants to do, like spreadsheets, Excel documents.
Oh,
I'm
you got
like,
to document the process, of course. Oh, heck yeah.
like even the
Um,
executive director has to do stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anyway.
I'm
uh,
impressed with your updates. Your updates are thorough. I just read your update for the month
uh,
this morning, and I was really impressed. It shows what everyone is doing, how you're doing it. So you might not like that process, my niece, but you're doing a good job at it.
Well, thank you. I definitely can take the feedback, and I'm definitely at our board meeting. There's a little thing in there around feedback, and yes, Sheila does a great job as my direct manager with us doing it. But of course, it's good to get feedback from everyone. For everybody, I answer to 11-person board, so I think that would be helpful with me. Developing relationships with you all, and of course, having better practices. I have that perfectionism type of thing going on. So I just like to get it right because I don't want people to just, maybe that's that internal thing I'm dealing with. I don't want people coming down on me because of something like small. So that's why we do that feedback session. I actually do it with the team too. Like, hey, so it's like a relationship building type of thing. But what are some projects you're working on? Of course, we hear about Elevate. But what are some projects that you enjoy? What are you excited about? I know this is hard because we're in a very crazy time in the world. We have to sometimes dig deeper. Like today, I wrote my gratitude list because sometimes it's just hard to see certain things. But when you write the gratitude list, I'm like, okay, it's not really that bad. So, what are you excited about?
We are lucky in our Michigan programs team.
Hmm.
Um, uh, does not have any direct federal funding. So that doesn't mean everybody at Elevate doesn't, because we
Hmm.
have plenty of programs at Elevate. And Elevate's based, in Chicago. We have offices all over the Midwest and on the West Coast. So, as an organization, Elevate does have federal contracts, and some people are shifting. Elevate's so big, we can shift their focus and they can do other work. Luckily, we don't have a huge amount of federal contracts. Um, but in Michigan, we'll just focus on our Michigan team because that's really what I know best. We have some really fun projects. We're working on three different projects in Southeast Michigan. One
Hmm.
of them is the Detroit Neighborhood Solar Initiative, in which the city of Detroit had neighborhoods nominate themselves to host 30 megawatts of solar so the city
Hmm.
could run their city buildings off solar. And those neighborhoods, in return, get up to $25,000 per home in energy efficiency, electrification, and solar upgrades. And so that's the big project I'm working on right now. We have about 150 homes that we're retrofitting.
Hmm.
DTE is offering up their home repair and energy efficiency program. So we're not only just getting $25,000, we're getting free furnaces, hot water heaters, insulation, everything you can really think of to save on energy on a home. And then we have our community benefits portion where we could do electrification, solar, and battery storage. So we're making these homes energy efficient. We're also getting dollars for hazardous material removal, so if there's asbestos or mold in basements. And so it's really exciting. I mean, some of these homes are getting $40,000 or $50,000 worth of investment in them, and we have 150 homes that we're doing in 3 different neighborhoods. And these are neighborhoods that nominated themselves, and then they're also where there used to be homes which were now demolished, open space. There's going to be solar panels, but the folks in the neighborhood that are still there are very excited about this. So then we're working on that. Then we're also working on a DTE settlement at Solidarity. We want Green 2 and Union of Concerned Scientists and Ecology Center negotiated with DTE for, it's called the Whole Homes, Whole Communities Project. And that's another 200 homes that are getting up to $40,000 worth of decarbonization, energy efficiency upgrades to those homes as well. So our team is completely overwhelmed, and these are non-federally funded projects. One's funded by the city, who's investing in solar. The other one's funded by a DTE settlement. Between the two of them, it's about $11 million worth of work. It's not easy. We're doing community engagement. We're doing energy assessments. We're doing retrofit plans, and then we got to hire contractors. So it is, full scale working on it. And then on top of that, we also help run some of the sustainability programs for the city of Ann Arbor, and they're similarly running rebate programs and a program in the Bryant neighborhood, which is one of the only diverse neighborhoods, low-income diverse neighborhoods in Ann Arbor, and they're also doing some work there. Although Ann Arbor, some of their funds are city funds, and some of them are federal. So the federal money for the city of Ann Arbor, is struggling. Then we're doing the same thing for the Lockview Desert band of Chippewa Indians in Lake Superior, which is way up north, and they received a $38 million DOE grant with support from Elevate to decarbonize 35 homes on the reservation. But again, that is one of the few DOE programs that's run out of our Chicago office, and we're not sure if that money is going to come in. So, but I think it will. But we're hopeful. We're hopeful that's going to come in. But so, anyways, the UP, Southeast Detroit, and then we're also working on a couple small projects in Grand Rapids as well. And then we're also doing a contractor accelerator funded by General Motors, Climate Equity Fund, and we train contractors to get into the electrification, solar, and battery storage industry. And we're on our 3rd cohort. So we're looking at, we've trained 10 contractors, and we're starting 10 more coming this year. So we do a training program so that we can have those contractors do the home retrofits, those 150 homes. So we train them, and then we give them work. It's very exciting. So we train them, we bring in the work. So it's we couldn't be busier than you can imagine right now.
Yeah, Elevate is pretty busy. I know. I'm looking like, well,
and that's just the tip of the iceberg right there. There's a lot more other stuff we're still doing. We're running a Justice 40 accelerator for the state of Michigan, where we're helping nonprofits get access to funding. Originally, it was, help them get access to federal funding, but we shifted a little bit. We're trying to give them access to any kind of funding, and different things like that, right? So, we have an army of grant writers that help communities, community groups, nonprofits try to go after money. It's really fun.
Well, looking forward to connect with you in regards to that, and of course, you know how Elevate can continue to be in coalition with us, because you know you guys been around since I became a staff person in 2020. So but as we wrap up, I wanted to say, what do you, just real quick, what do you enjoy spending your time doing outside of saving the environment, trying to eliminate climate issues?
What do I do for fun?
Mm.
Um, I I I love the water. I love the sun. We just had a little icebreaker this morning. What's your favorite season? Mine is summer.
Mine too.
So if you're gonna find me this summer, I'm gonna be on a paddleboard on one of the Great Lakes. Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, one of those. So that's where you'll find me when I'm not working.
Well, thank you, Tim. It was definitely nice seeing you. I know I'll probably see you in person sooner or later. I mean, we are in Michigan. So as we hop off, Tim, I'll see you in the next, of course, Zoom room in a couple weeks, though.
Yeah, sounds
um,
good.
but I'll look forward to connecting with you in regards to anything else, my work plan, what else Midwest BDC is doing. So thank you for being here today. And for those who are tuning in, just go ahead and follow us at midwestdecarb.org. We are on all social media platforms except X. So yeah. And then this week coming up, we have our Coalition Building 2025 edition, which is going to focus on the tactics of advocacy and coalition building. So you'll learn some power mapping, some sign-on, some different tactics on advocacy work, and that's this Thursday from actually 11 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. Me and Montre Moore, our membership engagement director, will be facilitating that together. So thank you all and have a wonderful day. And thank you, Tim, and be safe out there.
Oh, thank you.